Following my previous session that we had in episode 9, I've had a favorite book writer since I was a kid. I actually read his first book, I think when I was about 9 or 10. Many, many years ago. He actually wrote the book in 1989. The writer's name is Bryce Courtney. His first book he wrote in 1989 was called The Power of One. And I fell in love with that book. I remember being 9 and 10. Some of the words I didn't even understand, but I kept reading that book over and over until I knew it by heart. It's the most beautifully written, most beautiful descriptions of people, and you sort of love the main character. And I ended up reading all of his books. And then I found recently in a bookstore his most recent one that was released a couple of years back. And it was very sad to see that he was diagnosed with terminal stomach cancer in 2012, and his last book was Jack of Diamonds, and he released that just before he passed away. And then a memoir was sent out. It's called The Silver Moon, and I would love to read something from this book for you, because it's all these little annexures, little colloquialisms that he wrote over the years that was never in books. And I thought this is a very nice one. So it's called The Thinking Well. We all need a place in our minds where we can go to think. A place to sit quietly through a bad patch, regain our equilibrium when things go wrong, and work out what our path to take when we reach confusion of crossroads in our life. Somewhere to go where we pause to take the spoon out of the sink before we turn on the tap. In a sense, this is a mental sanctuary where we go to review opportunities to be taken or rejected. It's where we decide to make a decision to apologize, even for our behavior. This quiet internal sanctuary is where we more carefully review a decision we feel forced by others to accept, or one demanded by a work superior or parent, or brought by peer group pressure, where anger and hurt slowly melts and calm and reason seep steadily and meaningfully into our consciousness. Somewhere we can go to examine pointless pride and give ourselves permission to feel regret and courage. And by doing so, dissolve the angst and the resentment that causes the confusion we've built up in our hearts and our minds. So, this is a very interesting thing. And I can think after my own diagnosis, and for all of you out there being diagnosed with breast, prostate, stomach cancer, any type of cancer, I think this is a very important thing to have, is to have this thinking well, where you can sit by your own and just go through your thoughts and allow yourself 10 minutes each day just to calm your anger, reason regret, have the self-confidence that we retain, know what needs to be done, and to ask yourself, if I win this argument, if I'm going to provoke, will it change anything? Or if I respond in this manner, would this be the best step forward? Sort of like a conscious thinking well. And I think even more so now, having been diagnosed, sitting at home, being booked off for 3 months, to sometimes just sit by myself. Something I never did when I was working. I was always busy, always running around. Now, to sit by myself and say, okay, let's think about this. Let's take a moment to really go back through time and think of all the things that's ever upset me, or where certain people made you feel inferior, and really think about why that was. He has a very interesting thing here. That he wrote. So instead of working towards an achievement of an ambition or a goal, sometimes we are actually knee-jerking to what other people are saying at us. And by placing yourselves in the hands of a potentially lesser self, you're actually hoping by chance for the right outcome. But your own wisdom shouldn't be downplayed or underestimated or dismissed. The same applies to the wisdom of others, which is sometimes not always superior to your own. And I think we've all met that one person where they will give, and we will have an immediate knee-jerk reaction. And we are typically regretful of what we said. And that's when we have to go to our thinking well and really think about this. Is this person making me feel inferior? Should I act superior? Should I respond in the way that I want to? The most important thing is that in your private space, the word I is essential. Ask yourself, how do I feel about this situation? What outcome do I want to achieve? What do I need to change? There are many more questions that you can ask yourself, but I get that you might understand the general idea. Thinking is a learning process and well worth time and concentration. So just using it 10 minutes a day, you're arming your daily endeavor with consciousness and decisive direction, and you will be enormously gratified by the results you achieve. I'm reading tiny little tidbits of what he has written, putting in my own expression about it. But I want to end with sort of a little bio. In the end of my podcast, if I can say, here lies Bryce Courtney, a storyteller, his life would have been worthwhile. So think about it. If your life ends and they're putting up your tombstone, what should it say? Should it be a bio to someone that really had their thinking well on and responded with thought and content? Or would it be that it's someone that always responded in a knee-jerk anger and resentment? And it's typical to feel that way. I mean, going through your diagnosis and your treatment, we get frustrated. And I think that's when time should be given to thinking and really thinking about how things can be affected.